Yeah, we have just got to do something about the spiders in this library. There are just not enough of them. Oh! Hello, monster fans and Halloween mask enthusiasts. Welcome once again to the Library of Horror Hotel, where it's time for Creepy Cheapies with Dr. Lady. I, of course, am Dr. Lorenzo Cameron. And today's mask, ooh, such a scary one. Boy, so scary. Came out back in 2020, a year that happily is long over with. Came out in 2020 from Ghoulish Productions, part of the Ghoulish Productions lineup from that year. And, well, it's a creepypasta mask. Okay, creepypasta. You know what that means? That it's creepy. That's right. It's this gal, this chick, right here, Abigail. Now, you just spell that like the name Abigail, right? Yeah. A-B-I-G-A-I-L, if they want to look you up online. Yeah. Abigail. Now, Abigail isn't based on any specific creepypasta story. She's just a creepypasta design, a creepypasta style. So she's also called Creepypasta Abigail. Although I don't know of any other masks called Abigail, so if you look up Abigail mask, you'll probably find her. Among her endearing features are very scary eyes. Shiny, glossy black eyes with weird little reddish pink centers, and oversized mouth and teeth, and this weirdly shaped head. She has sort of bulges at the back of her head. I don't know what went wrong there, why she has the swollen cranium in the back, and sparse, thin little hair, which if you wanted her to have more hair, you could stick a witch wig or something on her. But the great thing, besides the eyes and teeth and that, the great thing that I like about her is an odd paint scheme. It's a very unique and unusual and distinctive color scheme. She sort of has this pink and black theme going on that's kind of unique and unusual within the world of dead people. And I like that. I think she's scary and effective. She has little slits above her eyes where the wearer would be seeing out of. And she has little nostril cuts in there as well. And this is straight out of the box from the folks at Ghoulish Productions. I didn't do anything to repaint or anything like that. Might like to have more hair on her. I think I might like her to have more hair. Although this is their design, so they get to decide how much hair they put on her when they sell them, because it's not based on a movie or anything. Since it's a creepypasta without a specific origin, you know what that means. It's also a cheapiepasta, which means we get to make up our own backstory for just what this is, because she's not based on a specific movie or a book or anything. So we have to look at her, which is a lot to ask. We have to look at her and use our imaginations and think of some terrible dark origin that this character would have. And just thinking about it kind of makes everything get all dark and grainy in the room and causes the lights to malfunction a little bit and makes things get all black and white and flickery and undulating with strange colors and ever-shifting video problems, just in your imagination, of course, when you look into this face and you try to make up exactly what she would have, resulted from. And oh, folks, I fear it is not a happy story. Oh no, it's a terrible story. It's a dark and scary story, full of evil and horror and violence and torture and stewed prunes and other unpleasantries. Oh my, yes. If you're at all squeamish, by which I mean if you're anything at all like Squeam, you probably shouldn't hear this because it's such a terrible story. Abigail, you see, clearly was a school teacher. I can get that right off the bat from looking at her. You can tell she's a retired teacher. Now Abigail, her full name would be Abigail T. Capercaillie. Yeah. And she was an English teacher, by which I don't mean she came from the UK, I mean English was the subject she taught, you see. And all the kids were scared to get her, and nobody wanted to get Abigail on their class schedule when they got their class schedules for the beginning of the year, each school year. Nobody wanted to get her because everybody in town was kind of afraid of old Abigail. She was a little strange, and I know you might not think that from looking at her. It might be hard to believe, but she's actually a little strange, even though you wouldn't think it. Now, the reason nobody wanted to end up in her class was because all the kids had heard that she was a very stern and strict and harsh disciplinarian, you see. Born under the zodiac sign of Disciplinarius, I believe. And it was felt by many in the community that Abigail sometimes doled out the punishments that were rather inappropriately harsh, you see, unduly severe when compared with the severity of the behavior being punished. But she liked to punish the kids. She was so hard on the kids, and even the parents thought she went a little overboard sometimes. Like the time she made those kids come in for detention on Saturday, and it was Christmas, or the time she made that kid go out and stand in the corner while the school was on fire. See, that kind of thing. Just a little inappropriate, just a little overboard. Now you see, Miss Abigail was not only an old school teacher, she was also an old school teacher, which means she believed in corporal punishment, and boy did she like the spankings. She was into doling out the spankings for the least offense on the part of the kids, you know, and it would get so bad that by the end of the semester, half the students would have to fill out their final exams standing up, because just about anything they do would earn them a ferocious spanking from old Abigail T. Capercaillie, who looked like this. And I know you're thinking, oh, what happened? Why does she look so terrible? Did she freeze to death or starve to death and came back as a zombie or ghost? No, this is what she looked like originally. This was her original normal face. She was 39 years old at this point and teaching school somewhere up near North Halitosis, Ohio, I believe. And well, she was, as I said, very hard on the students, and it happened that eventually at the class reunion one year, 5 of her students got together at a table off in the corner, and they were off in a dark corner of the saloon at the class reunion, and they were feeling sorry for themselves and drinking, and they got to discussing something they had in common. You see, is that they were long out of high school. These people were 30-somethings, you know, but they got to talking about the trouble they'd had as adults, and it turned out they put the pieces together and figured out Abigail here wasn't really that great of an English teacher. And all 5 of those now grown students had been humiliated and mocked and scorned because they had the internet, which Miss Abigail thought it was funny to call it the interwebs, but everybody else thought that stopped being funny around 2008, so we're not going to say that. But those kids, they had the social media, you see, and they would go on there and make smug, arrogant, self-righteous sounding posts, sort of lofty posts regarding things like global socioeconomic policy. And the fact that they didn't know the difference between your Y-O-U-R and your Y-O-U''-R-E. They didn't know the difference between their T-H-E-R-E and their T-H-E-I-R, that sort of thing. Their grammar was so bad and their typing was so bad that even though their points of view and their opinions on political and social matters weren't necessarily always wrong or stupid or ill-informed or anything like that, they had such poor typing and communication skills that really they were only fit for text messaging back and forth and not posting these big political kind of opinion pieces. And they had all done that, and they had all been scorned and mocked and laughed off and ridiculed. And this started to turn into a thesaurus, because those all sort of mean the same thing, don't they? They were all treated badly and humiliated and submitted to public scorn on the internet. And being the good citizens of today that they were, they decided to take revenge on their English teacher. Because that's what you do. They decided that she was the reason that they were laughed at online because she didn't do a good enough job teaching them English. So they decided to take their revenge. They made a terrible plan, and oh, this is where it gets really horrible and scary. They decided to go and punish her, and they decided terrible things they were going to do, and well, they decided to put masks on so that, you know, nobody could identify them in the police lineup. And the kid that had the idea to wear masks wanted to use masks of Mike Myers as Austin Powers, but the kid who bought the masks misunderstood and bought Trick or Treat Studios Michael Myers masks by mistake. And it was all very funny and very much, you know, a big misunderstanding that led to a joke in the movie Baby Driver sometime later. But anyway, they went to Miss Abigail's house and they said, we're going to get her. We're going to get her back. She's the reason that people laugh at our posts online. We're going to go into her house late at night and doink her in the eyes like Mo, they said. So one night, Miss Abigail was in her house watching TV on the couch with her dead cat. I told you she was a little strange. And those kids sneaked in through the back window. They sneaked in through a back window of Abigail's house and they attacked her. But little did anyone know, while Miss Abigail was not teaching school like the other times of the year when school was out for summer or for postal holidays or pandemics, things like that. Miss Abigail's other job was as a martial arts instructor at the local karate school at the shopping mall, which used to be Florsheim Shoes and then Sam Goody back in the days before the economy of the area fell all apart and the mall was doing successful business. But now it was a karate school. And Miss Abigail was one of the karate instructors there. That's right, she had 2 black belts and a number of other intimidatingly colored wardrobe accessories. And she mopped up the floor with all 5 of them. She clobbered them. She wailed on those 5 grown kids. She kicked all their ankles right there in her house that night. And then when it looked like she had the upper hand and all 5 of them were lying there in shock, just stunned and bruised and bleeding. I think there were some broken bones even involved. Just when it looked like she was ready to close in for the kill, and which would have involved a legendary spanking move that she learned during her time learning martial arts in the lost Chinese village of Span King. The spanking of death she had learned, and she was going to try that out. But as fate would have it, at that time suddenly she was distracted because the television commercial went off and the old episode of Matlock came back on that she'd been watching, and that distracted her so that they were able to get the upper hand. And then those kids, they tied her to a chair with duct tape, and that didn't make any sense because you don't tie duct tape. They tied her to a chair with duct tape over her mouth is what I meant to say. I told you there was terrible violence involved here. Anyway, as you can see, by the time you get done duct taping her mouth, there wouldn't be enough left on the roll to secure someone to a chair. So that's why they tied her to the chair and just using duct tape. Okay, anyway, they tied her to a chair, and to torture her, they pushed her right in front of that TV, and they forced her to sit through a triple feature that night. Yes, a triple feature of Ogroff the Mad Mutilator, and Devil Story, and Evil Clutch. Yeah, and some people think I made that up, but no, that's Ogroff the Mad Mutilator, the film by Norbert Mautier, and Devil Story, the film by Bernard Lanois, and Evil Clutch, also known as Il Bosco 3, by Andrea Marfori. Those were the films. Well, after that triple feature, and she dares anybody to try it. After that triple feature, well, she was never quite the same after that. And the scary thing was, she was never even quite the same before that. So, what happened was she ended up as this strange spirit entity who haunts smartphones looking for dumb students. And she's looking for revenge on those 5 students who broke into her house that night. She's looking for them, but she doesn't know what they look like because they were wearing their trick-or-treat studios Myers masks. And you're thinking, well, she won't be after me because I wasn't one of her students. Yeah, but she's a little off now, and she thinks everybody might have been one of those students. So she might get you even to this day. And I think your best defense from Abigail is probably to put on one of these masks when you're using your smartphone, and then when she sees it, she'll just think she's looking at her own reflection.